This is a clip from Beyond Classified. You can access the entire episode now at rockfin.com/FKN+.
So I find myself conflicted in the modern era of crypto. My experience in crypto goes way back. I launched all the original podcasts for World Crypto Network, Tone Vase, Jimmy Song, Ansel Lindner, Seyfedin Amous. I was Seyfedin Amous's webmaster and personal assistant for 2.5 years.
Wow. All right.
And so I'm a hardcore Bitcoin maximalist. And so,
oh boy, here we go.
Over the years, and we're experiencing it now because we're involved with Odyssey, who has the LBC token, and Ray token from Rockfin. And I'm finding that there are a lot of these they're kind of like utility tokens, but their only purpose they seem to have is to pay us content creators. And that doesn't really give the general market much incentive to buy into them. So in a lot of these altcoins, I'm not seeing the growth that one would expect. Is there a reason? And this is one of the big questions that we've always had as maximalists is why not integrate Bitcoin directly into the site as opposed to having an altcoin?
Yeah, we actually do support Bitcoin tipping. From the very beginning, even before Ethereum came along, we supported Bitcoin. I love Bitcoin. I think that it is absolutely the grandfather, and it is the solution to the money problem. Now, in terms of why it can't replace, various utility tokens, well, first of all, it's not nearly as programmable as Ethereum in terms of decentralized applications. I know that there are some cool things going on with Lightning. And, I would love to integrate some sort of like Satoshi reward system. But the developer tools around Lightning are very centralized. And it's just not there yet. I would love it to get there. I love Bitcoin. Absolutely will support Bitcoin rewards when we can. So our token basically represents ownership of our ad network. So that is not something that it would really make sense to just like give people Bitcoin for that. Like, we want to be able to quantify value creation on the app. So like if you post a bunch of popular content or you drive a bunch of people to the app, like that value was created. Like value creation is sort of infinite. So it doesn't necessarily make sense to just pay people in Bitcoin for everything. Like if you can generate a unit of value for a contribution of value, that's a very valuable tool to have. And not to mention with just the way that Bitcoin works in terms of the composability, it's just very different from Ethereum. So I do think that there's a place for both. I think that's pretty clear at this point. I mean, you literally cannot build the types of decentralized applications on Bitcoin that you can on Ethereum. So, but again, I really try not to get into like Bitcoin versus Ethereum. So like, I'm curious, like, why do you mean Bitcoin maximalist in the sense of like for solving the money problem, or you just think that like stuff like Ethereum shouldn't even what do you?
Yeah, because
you don't think Ethereum
Bitcoin solved a problem. It solved the censorship problem. And really, when it comes to cryptocurrencies, people come up with all these different reasons why they need a blockchain. They want to put their goddamn real estate on a blockchain. They want to put their whatever on the blockchain. The only reason anyone ever needs a blockchain is to prevent financial censorship. That is it. That is the one and done reason for cryptocurrencies ever to exist. Bitcoin is the only truly decentralized cryptocurrency because there's nobody at the top. Satoshi stepped away. And come on, you got to know who Satoshi is by now. But Satoshi stepped away, and therefore I understand exactly how the Bitcoin improvement proposals work and how the upgrades work. And if it's not, and it's up to the community really, because we had the SegWit 2X and we had all those we had Roger Ver and his Bitcoin Cash attempted hijacking of the chain, and they all failed because of the user support, not because necessarily the miners, because the miners are just greedy. So, but when it comes to something like Ethereum, Ethereum has proven pretty much on day one that it's not a decentralized cryptocurrency because of the rollback, and thus we have Ethereum Classic. If you have a centralized group of people, go ahead.
But Bitcoin had a rollback.
When did Bitcoin have a rollback?
There was like 1 billion Bitcoin created back in the day, and Satoshi fixed it.
Right. I understand. I know exactly what you're talking about. I wouldn't quite compare that to a chain rollback. That was a correction in the algorithm. But
well, look. I think that it is absolutely true that Bitcoin is, generally more decentralized. But if you I actually interviewed Samuel Dobson, who's a former Bitcoin core developer, also Tim Biko over at Ethereum, and like really tried to dig into the governance process. I mean, look, Bitcoin has a GitHub account. The Bitcoin core team, there's a handful of people on the Bitcoin on the GitHub account, same as Ethereum. They're generally utilizing rough consensus for a lot of the changes that do occur. Now, the rough consensus within Bitcoin is that, like, look, we're not going to be changing the peer-to-peer networking system and the economics of this. That's more of a psychological difference, quite frankly, than the Ethereum governance situation. I mean, in the Ethereum world, people want to scale, they want to, play with the economics, they want to bring in new fee burning mechanisms. They're willing to be more experimenting. And I think that there is absolutely added risk with that. And that is why they're different. And Bitcoin, I think, is, more reliable in the long term for that reason. But to say that, like, there is no centralization in Bitcoin is just not true. There is some. I mean, all projects have they exist somewhere on the map. I mean, just the fact that the block wars even occurred, and that shows that, look, yeah, there's a conversation happening, and thank God it turned out the way that it did. And I absolutely, look, I just think that it's sort of based on the fact of who you said you've been working with, Roy. I understand why you're coming at it from the maximalist perspective, but I don't think there's any other technology in the history of humanity that has, maximalism is death to technological innovation. I think that, they're different problems. I think that it's pretty clear that Bitcoin is solving the problem that it's solving. But to say that blockchains and other types of distributed consensus, distributed ledgers have no other application. I mean, for instance, look at us, or look at some of the other platforms that you mentioned that are playing with blockchains. Like, if you want to build an app that has distributed servers, like, there's a handful of tools that you can use for that, and Ethereum is one of them. Ethereum is not particularly good for building a whole social network on, but it can solve certain functions. So I don't really understand the extreme view that, like, there can be no other use cases for other blockchain. I mean, a blockchain is I mean, there clearly are other use cases.
Right, but I understand what you're saying, and I understand the other use cases, but when every person I know who buys, trades, sells crypto, all of them, without exception, they'll trade in altcoins. They'll hope they go up in value, and then they trade that for Bitcoin, which goes into their long-term hold stash. So everything always seems to funnel there anyway.
Okay, well, that's a complete. See, I'm not even I do not encourage people to, like, trade our token. That's not what we're trying to accomplish. Like, I'm, earn it, use it on the app. Yeah, you can pull it into your own wallet and have full sovereignty over it. But, like, I think that's where I think that there are a lot of nonsense altcoin projects that are like, yeah, they're trying to, like, be in the cryptocurrency conversation, which we're really not. We're trying to have a tool for giving value to creators on mine.